Hey, how's it going? Today I'm going to play some games with Raging Bolt EX and Sandy Shocks EX. Now, Raging Bolt is a 240 HP basic Pokemon with a 3 retreat cost and no weakness, with 2 attacks. First attack for 1 colorless says discard your hand and draw 6 cards. That can definitely be pretty useful. The second attack is what we're here for though, and that is for lightning and fighting. And it does 70 damage for each energy you discard off of your board. So it can do unlimited damage, and for 5 energy it can knock out any Pokemon without like a Hero's Cape or something. And we also have Sandy Shocks to help with that, to help support the energy to discard, because Sandy Shocks lets us accelerate an energy, a fighting energy specifically, from our discard pile once during our turn as long as our opponent has 4 or less prize cards, and it also hits 200 for fighting colorless, so that's good for Arceus and Iron Hands. And other than that, it's basically just a Lost Zone engine, but we also have Professor Sada's Vitality, which is like a nice touch, because Lost Zone can be kind of clunky. Like once you get rolling it's pretty consistent, but having the 3 extra draw supporters is definitely pretty nice, and using them is a little more important than I realized when I first started playing this deck, because I was kind of getting rid of them a lot. Like sometimes you have to Lost Zone some of them, but yeah, you're definitely going to want them to keep up the energy cost for the Raging Bolt. If you're knocking out like 280 HP and up Pokemon, it can burn through your Mirage Gates pretty quickly. But other than that, I want to go second with this deck and just try to get off like a Cram attack turn 1, or maybe every once in a while you can get a turn 1 Mirage Gate. That's not super common without the Pokestop, but it's not impossible with this list. I did take the shell of this list from someone in an online tournament, and I changed like the second Psychic for the third Water, a Vacuum, and the Counter Catcher for Raikou V and Forest Seal Stone, because being able to run Forest in Lost Zone decks is really powerful and lets you get that extra combo piece or just the Colress when you need it or whatever. But yeah, we also run Iron Hands because that card's kind of broken, so it's good to have. We have the 1 boss, 1 Roxanne, Prime Catcher, just a basic Lost Zone shell. Just adding in the ancient guys and the ancient draw supporters. Now let's get on to the games. Alright, so this first game we're up against Future Hands, and I won the coin flip and chose to go second. And we have a pretty decent hand. It would be nice to have a Buddy Poffin, because it always feels bad burning a bunch of Nest Balls for Comfeys, because that is the only way that we can find our attacking Pokemon in this deck, other than Cram we can get with Artazon. But I'm just checking prizes. It's important to know what energy especially are in your deck with Lost Zone decks. And I decided to Lost Zone the Comfey and a Water because Greninja shouldn't come up too often in this matchup. And I know my other 3 Comfey are in the deck, so I can just pop in for 2 Comfey and like thin out my deck by 1 card. But other than that, I am kind of forced to just attach and pass and get ready to retreat into a Comfey next turn. Definitely would have liked to do more, and really wouldn't mind giving them a knockout on a Comfey and then letting them Iron Hands a Cramorant, so I can hopefully like Roxanne, Vacuum, and knock out the Iron Hands is usually my plan in this matchup. I know a lot of people say it's a bad matchup, but I've just not had that bad of luck. As long as you can get that combo, which you should be able to build up your hand for it over the course of a couple turns. Greninja away Water. Maybe I should have done fighting. I'm not really too sure about that. I was kind of thinking that I might want to attach the fighting to the active, but this Colress is kind of hard. I think that I have to go with those 3 though. Unfortunately, I could take the Sada over the Colress, but I'd rather get more in the Lost Zone next turn. That's the easy one. We'll grab the Switch Cart. And now I can just Nest Ball for Cram and knock out this Miraidon and maybe get down another attacker to start attaching to. I can get down the Raging Bolt. I don't know, if I had a second Sandy Shocks in the deck, I'd probably just grab that and start attaching to it, but this one's already damaged, so I don't want to put that one in the active at any point because they will take 3 prizes on it, which wouldn't be too terrible this turn because that would put them in Roxanne range, but I do not have a Roxanne in my hand right now, so I don't want to go out of my way to try and do that. But we're just going to switch into Cram and knock out the Miraidon. We definitely need to knock out the Miraidon. That's like really important in this matchup. You want to knock that out before they can use it twice, because if like they were to just promote something and retreat into another Miraidon and load up their other Iron Hands, I'm not too sure how winnable this match would be. But if they only get to Miraidon once and you get the Lost Vacuum, which I get pretty lucky to hit off of that Greninja, this match is like kind of, I don't want to say unlosable, but it's really good. And I get pretty lucky there and hit the Roxanne off of the Comfey, but there's only 20 cards in my deck at this point, so I've seen 2/3 of my cards already. Now I can just gate to the Bolt, which kind of sucks. I wish I had Super Rad Nest Ball here so that I could attack with the Sandy Shocks. But we'll go with Raging Bolt. There's the benefits of going with that. They can't really knock it out with Arm Press without having to go through a lot. They need, what, 4 modifications? Yeah, they need all 4 of their Iron Crowns, or 3 Iron Crowns, and a Capsule to knock it out. And I'm just debating which energy to discard here. It's kind of a hard choice. I don't really know what is correct. I end up going with the Lightning. I'm not sure if I like that or not. I think I should have gone with the Fighting because the Sandy Shocks can accelerate the Fighting from the discard pile, so it's not ever too bad to have extra of those in the discard pile. But they do get a research off of their Pokegear from the Roxanne, which is kind of unfortunate. And I hope that that's not picking up in my microphone because my neighbor is cutting trees down in our backyard. So hopefully it's not too loud. But they attach to their active, which I don't think they should have done that. I think they should have tried to get a Miraidon down on the bench and attach to that to start accelerating again. Because I really think in this, for Iron Hands versus Lost Box, that you have to Miraidon a couple times, or you pretty much just lose, it seems like, unless they whiff the vacuum play. But Lost Box can usually get the cards that it needs. But anyway, I'm just going to keep building up my hand. It's a debate between Raging Bolt and Sableye, and I end up going with the Sableye because I already have my Raging Bolt on the field. It has no damage on it, and I doubt that I'm going to need another one. What I really want to get is my Sandy Shocks back. So I can Greninja, I hit the Super Rod, so now I can get my Sandy Shocks down and start accelerating with it, and I'll be able to Mirage Gate next turn, which is nice. And I could knock this Iron Crown out with my Raging Bolt, but I decided not to do that. They're not doing much, and I don't want to like run out of resources and not be able to knock out that Iron Hands when it comes up. So I just hit it with Cram. That's why I kept the Sableye, because now I can clean it up with Sableye at any point. So I can just knock out the Iron Hands on the bench, or I can Iron Hands this Iron Crown myself. There's a few options that I have to win the game, and they're not in a great spot. They really needed to hit that generator to at least knock out my Cramorant. But unfortunate for them, I can see almost my entire deck this turn, so I am going to Prime Catcher up that Iron Hands and knock it out. There's no way that I'm going to whiff it. I can see every single card, so there's really not much they can do. And I Comfey right into the Prime Catcher. I don't know what I decide to Comfey first, because if I hit Boss, I would just boss up the Iron Hands, and I'd rather keep the Colress around for, I don't know, in case they disrupt my hand, to have another draw supporter in my deck. And now I can just Prime Catcher up this Iron Hands, and they're probably going to concede, and they do, because there's nothing that they can do to win the game at that point. Alright, on to the next game. And this is a pretty unfortunate starting hand, and especially when I see that they started a Flutter Mane. I don't know, I always debate just conceding these games, but they're on the ranked ladder, and there is a way to win. And I don't know, something like hurts me on the inside about losing points on the ranked ladder for some reason. I really don't know why, but I'm forced to waste a boss on the Bidoof just so I can get into a Comfey, and I hit a switch, which is exactly what I wanted, just to get another card into the Lost Zone. And it's between Switch Cart and Water Energy. They're kind of the same, but Water Energy is like, I can get it back. So I probably should take the Water Energy here. I really hope. I'm thinking about this way too long. I definitely have to work on that. I play far too slow. Just end up like overthinking everything. And they'll bench another Bidoof, and they attach a Hero's Cape to their Flutter Mane and judge me. And hit me with the grabber. They see that my hand's not great, but I can get off 2 Comfeys. They evolve to their Bidoof, and they attach a Mist Energy to their Bibarel. Which, you have to just attach to Arceus there. You're never going to win if you never can attack with Arceus. But I end up getting the Colress. Luckily, they disrupted my hand, so I got a chance to see 4 new cards. And I'm just debating here about the Heavy Ball, because it always feels just terrible to Lost Zone Heavy Ball before you've gotten a deck search. And I decided to just risk it, because with the attackers in this deck, I'll be able to one-shot an Arceus one way or another. And the only thing that I would really want off the Heavy Ball, or really want out of the prizes, would be Greninja. And that's why I end up taking the Nest Ball over the Super Rod here. And I have 6 in the Lost Zone, so I can't really attack this turn unless it's with a Raikou. So I could Forest for a Vacuum, but I can't even Nest Ball for Greninja, which is unfortunate. I would really like to have done that and been able to draw some more cards. Oh yeah, no, I can't even attack with Raikou because I don't have a switch in my hand. I forgot that I already retreated. Now, in hindsight, I should Nest Ball preemptively and put down Raikou or something, because just based on looking at this deck, I should know that they play 2 Eerie probably. But I don't Nest Ball because I'm so used to like trying to save resources till you need them with Lost Box. But we end up getting really lucky here and hitting the Colress off of the top and getting basically 3 perfect cards. And we only have to lose 2 Comfey, and I hit the Mirage Gate off of the next Comfey. So I can knock out their Bibarel, which is kind of what they're living off of. And I Nest Ball there, and I make another mistake. I Nest Ball for Raging Bolt, just because I wanted to get an attachment down. I really should have Nest Balled for Sandy Shocks, because it's fighting type, so it one-shots Arceus without discarding 4 energy. So that was a pretty big mistake, but we're past that now. And they get another Judge. I draw pretty well off the Judge, and they get an Arceus V-Star and an attachment down. So now I can't knock out this Flutter Mane. It's too tanky, so I have to Prime Catcher the Arceus, and since I set up my board this way, I have to get rid of 4 energy now, which is terribly unfortunate. And I'm just debating if I want to just like Prime Catcher first and see if they scoop, so I don't even have to bother making the decision off of the Colress, and they do. Alright, so this next game, I win the coin flip and choose to go second, and I start Sandy Shocks again. I don't know, I'm kind of convinced that based on like the cards in your deck, on live it draws differently. It's really weird because I started the Sandy Shocks on more of the games than I started, like more than half of the games that I played, I started Sandy Shocks. And there's, 4 Comfey, 2 Raging Bolt. There's so many other Pokemon that I'm far more likely to start. But we see a Starmie in the active. That's kind of confusing. I'm assuming it's maybe an attacker in a Chi and Pow deck to save some energy. But they get down a Palkia, so now I'm just not really sure. And this is a pretty awkward Colress, because once again, I don't know what's prize, and I don't have much going on in my hand, and I'm forced to either use my Prime Catcher or hard retreat and use my Rescue Board on the Sandy Shocks, which I end up doing, and I'm not 100% sure what I'm playing against, because I could assume that they have a Baxcalibur in there, and in that case I might want to keep the water for Greninja, but I don't even know if Greninja's prized or not, and I don't know, taking the Heavy Ball in that situation and having no Pokemon prized is just so bad. And you just have to kind of go with your gut in that situation, I guess, whether you think there's a Pokemon prize or not, which is kind of weird, but I end up choosing to take the guaranteed resources. And getting rid of energy in Lost Zone decks always feels bad, but there are 11 in there, and I don't know, it's not like with Kyogre anymore where you needed to keep at least 8 energy around to get the maximum damage off. You can Lost Zone quite a few, and as long as you have enough to get your attacks off, you're pretty good to go. And I don't know, I have to promote the Sandy Shocks here because I have nothing good to promote. They knocked out my guy, but there is a good chance that I can, if I hit the right cards, I can get a Raikou playoff, which I'm kind of glad I added that into the deck, because I think what the person that made the deck was thinking is that they have Iron Hands for the lightning weakness, but that requires an attachment and a Mirage Gate, or 2 Mirage Gates, and a specific attachment too, like you need a lightning energy. Where with Raikou, all you need is a Mirage Gate, and I end up hitting all the cards that I need to get off the Raikou, which puts us from like a pretty bad spot to a very good spot in this game, because our opponent still has not done much with their hand, and now we're going to knock out the only attacker they have set up, and they're not going to be able to knock us out with Starmie, and even if they do, I can maybe even knock out Starmie with an Iron Hands. And I am debating between retreating and using the Switch Cart, and I decided to do both, get another flower selecting off, and I hit Lightning and Nest Ball, which is kind of weird, and I fleet-footed into another Lightning, and if all 3 of the Lightning weren't in my deck, I would not have done that. I would have used the Lost Vacuum first and Accelerated Energy beforehand to not risk drawing both of my Lightning, but we have all 3, and I save the Sada because I'm expecting that my Raikou gets knocked out, and that's a guaranteed knockout on this Starmie, and I have 2 energy in the discard already, which is nice, so I can accelerate 2 with it, and they knock out my Comfey, which is unfortunate because that like kind of denies me of an energy, because I could use the ability to get one and Sada to get 2, but now I only have 2 in the discard pile, so I can only get 2. But my Buddy Poffin for the Manaphy, because I can assume that they play Greninja, and now my board's just set up in such a way that there's almost nothing they can do to win the game, and I'm thinning out my deck so that I'm less likely to brick off of an Iono or a Roxanne, just fill my board up with another Comfey and take the knockout. And I still didn't get Greninja, which is terribly unfortunate, because Greninja would also have been good in that spot to knock out both of the Frigibaxes, but we discarded or lost on the Heavy Ball before I had a chance to look through my deck. And that is the Lost Box Raging Bolt deck. I actually think it's pretty good. I did not expect it to be all that good. I figured people were just playing it like, you know, for fun. Sometimes some decks are more fun to play, but the extra draw supporters gives you a lot of extra consistency, which feels really good in Lost Box. And the ability to one-shot anything is nice, and it has a built-in answer to Iron Hands in the Sandy Shocks. I don't know, it's pretty good. It definitely wouldn't be surprised to see this deck do good at a regional or something. Or you could definitely win a cup with it, I'm sure of that. But anyway, hope you enjoyed, and have a good one.